Greetings, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Tried something different there with the greetings. Welcome to today's episode for Thursday, January 6th, 2022. Once again, as always, I am your host, Lance Brock. And on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the week in pro wrestling and some of the news that's been going on in the world of pro wrestling the last couple of days. And I'm just going to get right into it. Talk about Raw from last Monday night. Raw was live from South Carolina. At first, we start off things with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar in-ring promo. Heyman is once again the advocate for Brock Lesnar. We have tag team action. The Alpha Academy defeating the Raw World Tag Team Champions in a non-title match. RK Bro when Otis pinned Riddle. The 24/7 championship was on the line in a mixed tag team match. Tamina Snuka and Akira Tozawa defeated they faced Dana Brooke and Reggie. I should say, but it was Dana Brooke and Reggie victorious, so Dana Brooke retaining the 24/7 championship. And then we get an in-ring segment with Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair. The Raw Women's Tag Team Championships are on the line. Carmella and Queen Zelina defeat Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley. And once again, we see the recap from Instagram of Johnny Knoxville announcing that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble match this year. And now the United States Championship is on the line. Damian Priest defeats Dolph Ziggler to retain. And we start off next with the segment The Miz and Maurice. And then they're interrupted by Edge and Beth Phoenix. And then we find out they're going to have a tag team match. And that was this week's Raw. And last night on Dynamite, we have the rematch everyone has been waiting to see for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And Hangman Adam Page defeats Bryan Danielson. And this one did not go as long as the last match. It was about a half hour, so maybe a little over a half hour, but definitely not an hour. But they had their judges just in case, which the judges were Paul White, Mark Henry, and Jerry Lynn. But it was still a very good match, though. Who knows? I'm going to be surprised if they get a third match out of this. MJF versus Captain Shawn Dean now. And CM Punk comes out and Shawn Dean gets a DQ win over MJF. And after the match, they battle on the mic again, and MJF says CM Punk has a match next week against Wardlow on Dynamite. I think that should be a good match. And I'm glad they're not going right to CM Punk versus MJF just yet. And then also we saw Chris Jericho last night. And he was confronted by 2.0 and also we see Adam Cole challenge Jake Atlas. Wardlow has another squash match, and before the match starts, Shawn Spears jumps Wardlow's opponent, attacks him, and Wardlow does the power bombs. And then we had the finals of the tournament for the first ever TBS Women's Championship. Jade Cargill taking on Ruby Soho, and it is Jade Cargill getting the win to become the first ever AEW TBS champion. Jim Ross has a one-on-one sit-down interview with Serena Deeb. Next up, Malachi Black versus Brian Pillman Jr. Black gets the win, and then after the match, the Lucha Brothers save Brian Pillman Jr. and Julia Hart. And in the back, Ruby Soho interview, and then Britt Baker confronts her, or Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, I should say. And then she's attacked by the Doctor, Jamie Hayter, and Rebel. And then she is saved by Riho, who Dr. Britt Baker will be defending the AEW Women's Championship against this Saturday night at the AEW Battle of the Belts on TNT. And we find out this Friday night on Rampage, Aaron Solo will be taking on Hook. Now it is time for the main event of the evening. For the AEW World Tag Team Championships, the Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus taking on the Lucha Brothers, Penta El Zero Miedo, and Phoenix. This one was a great match, I thought. We see in the finish, Alex Marquez kind of get a little too excited, set a table up. Christian Cage chases him off to the back, and Luchasaurus chokeslams Phoenix through the table. This was brutal, and I'll get to this in just a minute, but then we see Jungle Boy pin Penta El Zero in the ring. So we have new AEW World Tag Team Champions for the first time, the Jurassic Express. I'm glad to see that, though. Big fan of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. And it came out today in the news that during that chokeslam spot through the table, that Phoenix suffered a broken arm, was rushed to the hospital right after, and it appears that he will require surgery for that broken arm as well. So I just want to get well wishes, a speedy recovery to Phoenix. that is definitely some bad news. Was a good match though. Looking forward to see the Tag Team Championship reign of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus though. And now on to a little bit of news. The releases keep on coming from WWE. Road Dogg has been released. William Regal, surprised me, has been released. Of course, what he's done most recently for a long time, the general manager on NXT. I'm sure, I hope William Regal definitely stays in the business. In my opinion, he's a benefit to he could be a benefit to any promotion. That's just my opinion though. And also, some NXT releases and came out just a little bit ago before this podcast that they have released Gabe Sapolsky as well. And Tuesday night on NXT 2.0, Braun Breaker, the son of the dog-faced gremlin Rick Steiner, defeated Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship. And some wrestling we got coming up this weekend. We still got some big shows coming up this Friday night. Of course, we got SmackDown and then Rampage. And then Saturday at 8 p.m. on TNT, it is AEW Battle of the Belts. Also at 8 p.m. on Saturday, we have Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill on pay-per-view. Speaking of Impact Wrestling, tonight, the Go Home Show on Access TV. And speaking of Access TV, it has been announced that New Japan Pro Wrestling is returning to TV in the United States, I should say, once again on Access TV. It will air Thursday nights, sorry about that, at 10 p.m. right after Impact Wrestling. And I'm sure it definitely helps that New Japan is on good terms with Impact. Been working together as of late. Of course, Anthem, the owners of Impact Wrestling, now own Access TV. That was the main reason for New Japan exiting Access TV. But it's definitely good to see New Japan back on TV here in the United States. I'm guessing it's going to be the same, where it's kind of older matches, or at least I'm guessing, or maybe not real old, but at least a few weeks or so behind, probably. Have them on right after Impact. There's been no announcement of a replacement, or not a replacement, but a commentary team. Obviously, Jim Ross is not going to be doing it with AEW now, and Mauro Ranallo, I know he's doing some boxing and MMA stuff, I think. I don't know if they could get him back to do it. And Josh Barnett, I'm not sure if he's going to be doing it again or not. But to go back to Impact Wrestling, Matt Striker has exited the promotion. No longer will be a part of the commentary team going forward. No word on yet who will take his place. I'm guessing that the commentary team will now be Josh Matthews and D'Lo Brown, which I'm alright with. I think Josh Matthews is good on commentary. I enjoy D'Lo Brown on the commentary team as color, and I think both of them will do a good job together, but who knows if maybe they'll get a new commentator into the company. But like I said, I think it's just going to be Josh Matthews and D'Lo Brown taking over now that Matt Striker has left. And one more show on Saturday that's going to be early morning, or here in North America anyway. The New Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah show will be taking place this Saturday. So it's been a big week for pro wrestling shows, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and better this weekend as well. And I hope to have recaps of at least 2 of those shows anyway. Battle of the Belts and Hard to Kill coming up this Saturday night. So I think that is all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 276. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are. Remember, you can like 360 Wrestling Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, follow on Twitter at 360 Wrestling Pod. Also, if you want to watch the 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel, the new one, subscribe, like, comment, click the notification bell, all that stuff. Also, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or anything, 360 Wrestling Podcast at gmail.com is the email. If you want to support 360 Wrestling Podcast, you can. You don't have to, but if you can give a little bit to help us out, it'll help make 360 Wrestling Podcast bigger and better. You can go to anchor.fm/360-wrestling-podcast. I always put it in the description as well. Like I said, you don't have to, but it'll help out very much if you do, if you can. And that's it for today. Like I said, hope to be back soon this weekend. Got Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill, AEW Battle of the Belts. And my resolution for this year is to do the more episodes of the podcast, make the podcast better, all that good stuff. So thank you very much for listening. Until next time, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.